Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. This is Ma'am Sam, and for today, we are going to learn how mathematics is being used as a tool. So, we're going to have statistics, data management, and also known as statistics. Okay, I believe and I assume that you have encountered already statistics during your high school days. But yeah, so we are going to recall things about this subject in mathematics. So we have two POVs when we're talking about statistics. So in plural sense, so statistics are numbers, the numbers that are being studied, the data themselves, right? The raw data. Ano pag sinabi natin raw data? These are unorganized, untouched, unprocessed data collected from a direct source or whatever manner you've had, okay? So in singular sense, that is the science, the application of the methods. It starts with planning, collecting, organizing, until interpreting or drawing conclusions based on the data that you have gathered. So usually, siguro sa inyo, hinahanap nyo lang ang statistician right after you have gathered the data para ma-interpret yung data na inyong na-collect, no? But the proper way is you have to consult statistician as early as when you are planning. Bakit? So that they will have suggestions on how or what appropriate tool or instrument or process ang inyong gagamitin. Okay, so yun yung proper process natin, okay? So, why do we need to study statistics? Of course, you're gonna be teachers, right? You're gonna be teachers and kayo ay magre-research eventually. So the correct methods of collecting data, the right way of organizing them, and good data presentation, it will result you to a precise analysis and interpretation. So, iisa-isahin natin ang bawat step or bawat process ng statistics. So, starting off with data gathering. So, we have different methods in gathering data. So, the first one is direct or interview method. So, you get the information directly from people by talking to them face to face or even through a phone call or online interview. So the key idea here is you are personally asking and recording their answer. So that's why it's called direct person to person. Diba? Next po, questionnaire. Bakit naman siya tinawag na indirect? Because there is something that mediates, no? The researcher and the participant. Nasa gitna. Ang alin? The questionnaire, the instrument. So you are collecting the data by giving survey, questionnaire for people or for your participants to answer, either printed or online through Google Forms. Ayan. You send Google Forms to students, which is way more convenient than the first method, correct? So the key idea here is that the participants will just write their own answers and not you. They will be the one to record their answers, not you. Kaya lang, syempre, especially if you're having qualitative research, mas okay sana na interview method kasi pwede tayo mag-follow up questions, no? Kaya lang, syempre, questionnaire or survey forms are more convenient than the first method mentioned. Okay, next one, registration method. So ito naman po, we use this whenever we need large amount of data na available naman na. So you use the data that are already recorded officially by government offices or organizations. So, for example, you want to know how many students are enrolled in each program or in each major in teacher education department. So, hindi na kayo para mag-isa-isa ng bilang, no? Sa kayo pupunta? Sa registrar. So, mas madali ang pagko-collect ng data, especially if you need large amount of data. So, tignan nyo muna kung Available ba to sa departments or government offices, organizations, agencies, or institutions? Okay, next one. Observation method. From the word itself, you collect data by watching people, observing people or events carefully. So you are observing them in their natural setting. You don't ask them questions. You just observe behaviors or events directly in their natural setting. Wala kayong pinapakialamanan. Yun yung pinagkaiba niya. So usually ginagamit din to sa qualitative research. You observe the behavior, ayan. How students interact during group work, mga ganyan. Or other scenarios. Kabaliktaran naman niya ang experimental method. So in experimental method, you gather data by conducting experiments and you are here manipulating variables. Because you are testing the cause and effect. Usually you are testing the effectivity, the feasibility of something. So you are manipulating the situation or you are manipulating something, a variable or whatsoever. And then you're going to compare it to um a situation that naturally happens or the controlled variable. So yun po yung pinagkaiba niya. So one tip for you to memorize and study effectively is that you always compare terms, especially if you are studying different or so many terminologies. Ang pinaka-effective way dyan para ma-memorize at para maintindihan nyo silang lahat is to always compare. So, for example, si direct interview, kanino mo siya direct or interview method, kanino mo siya mako-compare kay questionnaire. So, lagi yan magkabangga. So, may kapartner sila, no? Madaling intindihin or madaling i-memorize. Si observation kay experimentation. Sino lang ang natitira? Si registration. So, ganun po tayo mag-aral and mag-memorize, ha? Okay. Next one, of course, we have to know the sources of data. We call it primary if you personally gather the data yourself, whether it is questionnaire, interview method, basta ikaw yung nag-collect mismo ng method, ikaw mismo yung nag-gather in whatever manner primary source ang data mo. So, yung inyong ini-interpret kapag kayo ay nagre-research, yun, primary data yun kasi kayo mismo yung nag-gather nun. Secondary data, you use the data that already exists and it has been gathered by the others. Saan natin to ginagamit? When we are writing the RRL. Now, my question is, which one is more important? Primary or secondary? Actually, both of them are important because ang secondary source, ang secondary data, ginagamit natin siya, di ba, to justify and to strengthen our claims. But we cannot justify or strengthen our claims kung wala tayong primary. So parehas silang importante. Okay, so we're done with data gathering. Now let's have data organizing. So we have two ways in organizing our data because we can interpret the data whether it's a group or group, pero we're going to discuss that eventually. So before we are able to organize the data, we must first know what data are we having. So let's have scales of measurement. So scales of measurement, it tells us what kind of data we have, and it makes us be aware of what we can do with it so that we could organize it properly, summarize it properly, and analyze or interpret that properly. So we have four scales of data or the higher scales of measurement or hierarchies of measurement. Bakit siya tinawag na hierarchy? Siyempre, may mababa, may mataas. So the lowest level that we have here is nominal. So I have presented here this simple analogy so that you could interpret or understand easily or better. By the way, if you have questions, if you still have questions, hindi kayang sagutin ni Google, naguguluhan kayo, just ping me. I will answer. Okay, so the lowest level is nominal. Why is it the lowest level? So from the word itself, nominal, you're just giving names. So you're just giving names, you're just classifying, you're just categorizing no? And yung pagka-classify mo, pagbibigay mo ng names, hindi mo pwedeng ma-distinguish or you cannot distinguish kung sino ang mas higit kaysa sa isa. So, in my example here, ayan, nagbigay ka lang ng names. Kinlassify mo lang yung flavors ng cake. Hindi mo alam kung, hindi mo pwedeng ma-distinguish kung ano yung mas higit sa isa, hindi mo kayang i-rank. What else? Gender, di ba? Male and female. Colors, di ba? Hindi mo kayang i-distinguish, pero kaya mong pangalanan, kaya mong i-classify. So that is nominal. Kapag po ang category, kaya mong pangalanan and at the same time kaya mong i-rank, then hindi na siya nominal, siya na ay nasa ordinal scale. So for example, ayan, best seller flavor or flavors of cake. Ayan, may category tayo no, best seller ng mga flavors. So ayan, may rank 1, rank 2, rank 3. That is ordinal. Pero anong weakness ni ordinal? Alam mo lang na meron ng mas higit kesa sa isa, but you cannot really distinguish yung difference ng bawat point. Gaano karami ang difference ng rank 1 sa rank 2? So, ganon. Alam mo lang na mas mataas yung rank 1 kesa sa rank 2 at rank 3. Kapag alam mo yung difference between 2 points, that will be interval. And I want you to remember that in interval, meron niyang special feature. Kapag interval, 0 has a value. What does it mean? Hindi porket 0, wala kang mini-measure. That's interval, okay? Hindi porket 0, wala kang mini-measure. Ibig sabihin, 0 has a value. A classic example for that would be the temperature. So, 0 degrees Celsius, it doesn't mean na walang temperature na mini-measure, correct? So, it is just a reference point. It is the freezing point, right? So, that's interval. Pagka naman ang 0, for example, nilagay mo yung quantity sa 0, tapos ang meaning niya wala, then it's ratio. 0 means absence sa ratio. So for example, in this weighing scale, in my example, pagka 0 kilograms, may wini-weigh ka ba? Wala, di ba? So 0 means absence. So ganito lang po yan. Para hindi kayo malito. If we're talking about categories, it will be either nominal or ordinal. Titignan mo, kaya ko ba siyang i-rank? Pag hindi mo kaya ma-distinguish kung ano yung mas higit kesa sa isa, nominal lang yan. But if we're talking about quantities, so it's either, your choices will be just either interval or ratio. If 0 has a value, if you put everything to 0 and it still has a value, then it's in interval scale. But if 0 means absence, then that's ratio. So it measures with a real 0. Okay? So, ayan, i-recall lang ulit natin para mas maintindihan ninyo. And let's give some more examples. So again, nominal, you can classify, but you cannot rank them. You can assign names, you can assign labels, but you cannot rank them. Okay, that's why it's the lowest in the hierarchy. Other examples, gender, blood type, 'di ba? Hindi mo naman pwedeng sabihin na O positive ay mas higit kaysa sa B or AB, 'di ba? Types of fruit, colors, student number, plate number, kahit sila ay mga numbers, sila ay pangalan lang, no? Nagka-categorize, nagka-classify lang. 'Di ba? Sa identity ng isang estudyante or ng isang car. So ordinal scale, you can classify them. Ordinal scale, it has the characteristics of nominal, but ano yung characteristics ito? Additional characteristic, it can be ordered. So you can classify now which is superior with which. So you can arrange them from highest to lowest, but you cannot measure exact differences. Kasi kapag ang bagay, kaya mong i-name, kaya mong i-order, at kaya mong malaman lang eksaktong difference, hindi na siya ordinal. Interval na siya. Okay? For example, class rank. First, Second, third, alam mo lang na first, class rank lang pinag-uusapan natin ha, yung first, second, and third, hindi kasama yung percentages. So, first, second, and third. So, alam mo lang na mas mataas yung first kesa sa second and third, pero hindi mo alam yung difference. Okay? So, ordinal scale yun. Pain level, high, moderate, severe. Satisfactory level as well. So, ayan. Kaya mong i-classify and at the same time, kaya mo ring i-rank. Next one, interval. Zero has a value here. So, meron na tayong the categories can now be numerically differentiated. Quantities na ang pinag-uusapan natin. Okay, quantities na ang pinag-uusapan. 'Di ba? Pag quantities, either it's interval or ratio. Pag categories lang, hindi mo kayang ma-differentiate numerically. Categories lang, ha? Categories lang. Nominal and ordinal. So, punta tayo dito sa interval. Other examples are test scores. Diba pag interval, lagi niyong tatandaan, zero has a value. So, for example, 0/30. It doesn't mean na wala kang mineasure na um, knowledge or attribute. 0/30 means something. Ibig sabihin nun, bagsak ka. 'Di ba? Yung time, 0:00. It doesn't mean na walang time, no? In military time, 12 o'clock yun. Reset yun, 'di ba? 0:00 tapos 1 to 23. So pag ano na, pag 24th hour na, 0:00 na ulit yun, reset. So it still has a value. So temperature, ayan, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, kasi meron tatlo yan, Celsius, Fahrenheit, and Kelvin. You have to remember that yung Celsius and Fahrenheit, interval yan. Kasi yung isang binanggit ko, Kelvin, temperature in Kelvin, so we're talking about thermal, I think, yeah, it has something to do with thermal. And 0 Kelvin means no or no heat. So pagka 0 means nothing, it's not interval anymore, but it is ratio. So temperature, like Celsius and Fahrenheit, it is under interval, but when we're talking about Kelvin already, it's ratio. It's under ratio scale. So ratio scale is the highest among everything because it includes the properties from all other scales of measurement that we have just mentioned. So the data is nominal. It can be defined by an identity. It can be ranked, and it contains intervals. But the unique feature of the ratio scale is this one. It has a true zero. So zero means none of the quantity. Pagka ba 0 kg, meron ka bang tinimbang? Wala. Pagka ba nilagay mo sa zero ang height, 0 centimeters or length, meron ka bang sinukat? Wala. Pag ba sinabi nating 0 pesos, may pera ka ba? Wala, di ba? Pag sinabi nating 0 kilometers, may umandar ba? Wala. So, yun yun. So, pagka quantities ang pinag-uusapan natin, hypothetically, you always put that into zero and then you try to decipher, may value pa ba ang zero pagka nilagay ko siya sa zero or wala. Pag merong value, interval. Pag wala, it means none of the quantity or it means absence, then it is ratio. Now, let's try. So, number one, temperature measured in Celsius. This one is, I want you to try and really answer, ha? Don't just watch this video lecture. So temperature is, in Celsius is interval. Next one, number two, eye color of students. That is nominal. Number three, weight of a watermelon. A weight of a watermelon. We're talking about numbers here, quantities. So it's either interval or ordinal. Pagka nilagay mo sa zero ang weight, 0 grams, may value pa ba ang zero? Or wala kang tinitimbang? So it is ratio. So number four, grade level. Although it has numbers 7, 8, and 9, but it's just a classification, categorizing grade levels. So this is, so categories, no? So it's either nominal or ordinal. Kaya mo ba siyang i-rank or i-order? Kaya mo bang ma-distinguish kung sino ang mas higit sa isa? Yes. So therefore, it is ordinal. Alam natin na mas mataas ang grade 9 kaysa sa grade 7 at grade 8. Next one, number 5, satisfaction rating. Okay, so parehas lang yan. It is also ordinal. And number 6, type of transportation, bus, jeepney, tricycle, train. That is just nominal. You can classify, but you cannot distinguish kung sino ang mas superior with which. Okay, very good. Now, pwede na tayo mag-organize ng data. So, as I've mentioned earlier, we have two ways of organizing collected data. The first one is in array form, and we use this, and by array, pinagpapatas natin, no? We arrange the raw data according to the order of magnitude. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Either from least to greatest or highest to lowest. But usually, we do least to greatest or smallest to highest, no? So we use this if our dataset is small and well defined. So kung ang raw data mo lang, ang numbers lang na meron ka, or yeah, just the raw data ay 20, yan, kaya pa natin yung isulat. Kasi 'di ba, ang rule ni array dapat naka-arrange siya from least to greatest. So imagine meron kang 100 na data, 100 na data set. Tapos i-arrange mo from according to the order of magnitude. Ang hirap nun, no? So we can just use array if we're having small data set. Kung malaki na, 50 na siya, 30, 40, ayan, 100, then we're going to use frequency distribution table. So this is a condensed version of array. Bakit? Kasi in array, ina-arrange lang natin siya from smallest to highest, pero kaya natin makita. Kita pa rin natin yung bawat number or bawat datum na nakita natin, no? But in frequency distribution table, nagkakaroon lang ng intervals. Later on, you'll see. And I know naman, familiar naman kayo dito. So, marirecall nyo to mamaya. So instead of you just listing down from lowest to highest, so we're categorizing data into intervals, into classes. So the order of data here, it's not important because it's called frequency distribution table. The more important part here or thing here is the count or the frequency rather than the sequence. Okay? So yung array, madali lang yan. I-order mo lang naman from least to greatest, no? So we're going to focus today with frequency distribution table. So I want you to have a pen and your lecture notebook together with your calculator. Sabayan niyo po ako mag-compute, mag-practice na. So yeah, okay, so let's have step 1. So we have here the raw scores of students in a 200 item test. Ito yung raw data ninyo. So how are you going to organize these? So the first step is to find the range. In whatever aspect in mathematics you are in, range is always the difference between the highest value and the lowest value. If you're asked to get the range, you always look for the highest value and then you subtract it to the lowest value. Now, can you look here and try to find kung ano ang ating highest value? So the highest value is 172. How about the lowest value? The lowest value here is 112. So what are we going to do to get the range? 172 minus 112, and that would be 60. I-try nyo rin sa calculator ninyo ha, ang pagko-compute. Wag lang makinig at manood. This is not a vlog. This is a lecture video. Video lecture. Okay, next, after you get the range, you now determine your K. So let's now have the number of classes where we are going to use here the Sturgis formula. Ayan yung K equals 1 plus 3.322 log N. Pakitignan nga po sa inyong mga calculator kung meron kayong log. So, itatype nyo lang po yan. Dire-diretso lang. 1 plus 3.322 log. So, hindi lagi, those are constants. Ang nababago lang dyan ay yung N. And N is the total population or the frequency. So, you have to know, ilang scores ba ang meron dito? Ilang scores ang meron dyan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, 5 kada ganito. Tapos, ilang 5 meron? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, bale, ilan lahat yung scores na yan? Meron kang 50. So, that is your N. Okay? So, sometimes N will not be given, so you have to manually count for your N. So you're just going to type in your calculator 1 plus 3.322 log, ano yung N nyo? 50. Log 50. And the answer for that would be 6 point something. So 6 point something. Ma'am, bakit po naging 7? Tatandaan po ninyo ha, if you are computing for K, if you're computing for K, you always round up. If there is a decimal, always round up to the next whole number. Ma'am, bakit po 7? So, ano po bang pinagkaiba ng round off sa round up? When we're talking about rounding off, yun yung may sinusunod tayo na rules. Yung pag 5 pataas, you add 1. And then pag 4 pababa, retain. Yung parehas na yun, yung rules, dalawang rule na yun ay rounding off. Pag sinabi nating rounding up, rounding up, regardless, basta may decimal dyan, you always get the next whole number. That's the difference between rounding off and rounding up. And in here, are we doing rounding off or rounding up? We're doing rounding up. So, kung yan man ay 6.123, 7 pa rin yun. Okay, so regardless kung anong number yan, basta may decimal, you always get the next whole number. So, para saan po ba si K? So, it will determine kung ilang rows ba ang idodrawing mo sa iyong table. So, if it shows here that we should have 7, therefore, yung table mo dapat may 7 na rows. Ayan, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then after that, you need to know the class width or class size. Class width or class size, they're just the same, okay? So this will determine kung gaano kalayo ba yung each point in each class mamaya sa iyong FDT. So paano naman po yun? So you will be needing here the range and the number of classes. Actually, ang statistics naman po, I always say this or I always tell this to my students. Actually, for me, this one is the easiest subject in mathematics. Kaya lang siya mukhang mahirap kasi madami, no? So you have to master the sequence of and the process for each step. Kasi pag mali ka sa isa, mali ka na sa lahat. Pero yung bawat step, kung aaralin mo, madali lang siya. Okay. So in computing for the class width or class size, you need to divide the range. Ano yung range natin? 60 by the number of classes. And our number of classes ay 7. So that would be 60 divided by 7. Ano po ang result sa inyong calculator? So the result is 8.57142 and so on. Ma, bakit po naging 9? Tatandaan niyo po ha, magkaiba ang rules ng rounding up sa number of classes at sa class width. Pagka po K ang ating kino-compute, we just round up to the next whole number. Next whole number. Okay? But if we're going to talk about class width or class size, you always round up to the next odd number. Okay? So let's say for example, um, 3.435. Class width to ha, class width. Then magiging, ano siya? Hindi siya 4 kasi ang kailangan natin next odd number. So hindi pwedeng 4. Ang next number ni 3 ay 4, pero ang 4 ay isang even number. Anong next kay 4? 5. So pwede si 5. Ano ba yung mga odd number? Di ba yan yung 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and so on and so forth. So ganun po, ha? Paano naman po pag 4.124? Next odd number. So that will be 5 pa din. Ganun po, ha? Paano naman po pag 5.632 or 732? Anong sagot? Next odd number, 7. Pero dito sa K, next whole number lang, ha? So for example, 6.889, 7 yan. Pagka 4.234, 5 yan. Pagka po 7.965, 8 yan. So again, if we're talking about K, round up to the next whole number. Pag class with, round up to the next odd number. Always remember that. Now, kapag po nakuha nyo na si class with, 9 po ang class with natin, no? So pwede na tayong kumuha ng or mag-determine ng class intervals. So in every class interval, there is a lower limit and upper limit. So lahat ng nasa left, so ito po, lahat na isusulat mo dito, yan ang mga lower limit mo. At lahat na isusulat mo dito sa right, yan lahat ay upper limit mo. Ang tawag ko po dito sa bawat row dito po sa column na ito ay class. Okay? So, class intervals, class. So, dito nyo gagamitin yung inyong class with. So, gaano kalayo yung pagitan ng lower limit at upper limit sa bawat class mo. Okay? Ayan. So, given that our class width is 9, so papaano po yan? Ano isusulat mo dito sa unang lower limit mo? Of course, lagi kang magsa-start sa lowest value mo. Ano nga po ulit yung lowest value mo kanina? 112. And then, paano mo malalaman yung interval? So, you need to add 9. Gagamitin na natin ng class width na to. So, para po, um, para po kayo ay hindi prone sa error, ganito po ang gawin ninyo. And this one is the easiest strategy that I can offer para po hindi prone sa error. And hindi po to invento ha, tama ito. So this is the easiest that I can think of. And it has been proven already. It has been used also by other statistic teachers. Okay, so 112, itong kailangan mo, class width. 112 plus 9 pababa. So you get all the lower limits first, tapos yung upper limit, mamaya na lang yan, madali na yan. Okay, 112 plus 9. Saan galing yung 9? Yung class width mo nga, ito. 112 plus 9, 121. 121 plus 9, 130. 130 plus 9, 139. 139 plus 9, 148. 148 plus 9, 157. 157 plus 9, 166. Eh di meron ka na yung lower limit mo, no? Doon ka naman sa upper limit. Di ba ang interval? So, anong bago mag 121? Yun ang isusulat mo dito. Ano ang bago mag 121? 120. Anong bago mag 130? 129. Anong bago mag 139? 138. Ano ang bago mag 148? 147. Ano bago mag 157? 156. What will be the next number? 165 kasi bago mag 166, no? Ma'am, paano po ito? Hindi na namin alam. Ay, di plusan mo ulit ng 9 sa baba. 166 plus 9. Ano lang yan, hindi mo sasama yan ha, para lang makuha mo yung next. So, 175, ano bago mag 175? 174. Siguro, ang mga na re-recall ninyo na way para makuha ang class intervals is yung magbibilang ka pahiga. Ito, mula 112, isasama mo si 112, magbibilang ka ng 9, 112, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Kaya lang prone sa error yon because most of the students nalilimutan nila na isama sa unang bilang yung first number. So, mas madali ito pagpababa. So, ganito ang gawin ninyo para hindi prone sa error, ha? Kasi yun ang iniiwasan natin, magka-error. Kasi pag mali sa una, mali na sa mga susunod. Okay, so that is how you determine your class intervals. Next, punta tayo sa frequency. Frequency, kung gaano kadalas, no? So, what you're going to do here is just you're just going to count the number of data falling in each class. So, ano to? Ba't may arrow? Okay. I don't know if you can see, but yeah. So, 112 to. So, ilan ang, di babalik kayo sa raw data ninyo. Sa raw data, ayan ang raw data. So, you're going to count ilan po ang numbers na pasok sa 112 to 120. So, ilan yan sa raw data nyo? Ang technique or ang tip ko sa inyo, gumamit kayo ng highlighter. Yung iba naman, dinodrawingan nila no, sa first class, pag binilang nila, para mas madali, no? Pag nai-eliminate mo, mas konti yung numbers, mas madaling maghanap. So, yung iba, ginagawa nila, gumagamit ng highlighter. Yung iba naman, dinodrawingan nila, first class, star, star lahat. Tapos second class circle naman, tapos square, iba't ibang shapes. Okay, so bilangin natin from our raw data, ilan po ang numbers na pasok sa 112 up to 120? Tatlo lang. So write natin dito, 3. Frequency is denoted by small f. Okay, and then next class, 121 to 129. Ilan po ang pasok dito sa class na to? So let's look at our raw data. So 122, 1, 2, 3, 121 to 129 ha. 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 lang. Madali yan ngayon kasi kasama nyo ako and naka-highlight na, no? Pero pag kayo na lang, medyo nakakaduling to. So, you have to make sure, isa-isahin nyo per column or per line para hindi, para wala kayong mamimiss. Okay, next class is 130 to 138. Ilang numbers ang pasok? So 130 to 138. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so 10. Next class, 139 to 147. So 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Meron pang isa hanggang 147. Ay, yung katabi niya, 145. 11. So, we have 11 here. Next class, 148 to 156. So, medyo madali na maghanap ngayon, no? Kasi marami na tayo na-eliminate. So, 148 hanggang 156 lang. Ilan ang pasok? 11 din. So, ayan yan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And next one, 157 to 165. So, ilan yan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 lang. 5 lang pala. Lahat ng orange. 159, 160, 159, 160, 163. And then, syempre, yung natira, yun na yung last class ng 166 to 174. Ma'am, bakit po 174 ang nakasulat dito? Dito sa ating class interval, ang highest value po natin sa raw data ay 172. Okay lang yon. Kasi sinunod natin yung class width, tsaka yung K. Ha? Minsan nga, sa last row natin, zero na yung frequency. Pero okay lang din yon. Ha? Ang mahalaga, ang susundin yung starting point ay yung lowest value nyo. Tapos, sundin nyo yung rule nung class width at nung class rows, yung rows ninyo, yung K. Okay po. Now that you've written all the frequencies here, now you have to make sure that the total, when you add everything here, the total of the frequency will be the same as the number of your population or your N, which is 50. So pag inad nyo to, 50 dapat yan. So tama yan, 7 plus 3, and 10, 20, 30, 40, 8, 9, 10, 50. So 50 rin yan. So the next thing that we should do is identify the class mark. Class mark is the middle or the midpoint of the class intervals that we have. To get the class mark, we must identify the average, 'di ba? Yung average, yung gitna. The average of the lower limit and the upper limit. So, for example, paano po ba ginagamit or paano po ba kinukuha ang average? Di ba po pag nag-average tayo, ina-add mo lahat ng values, tapos i-divide mo sa kung ilan yung pinag-add mo. So, bakit po ito? Kasi dalawa lang yung pinag-add mo, yung lower limit mo, tsaka yung upper limit. Bawat class yan ginagawa, ha? So, yan, try natin. So, for example, in our first class, so, 112 plus 120, ayan, lower limit, ayun yun, plus upper limit, 120, i-divide mo sa 2, 116. So, kinukuha mo yung gitna, no? So, 112, 120, 112, 113, 114, 115, 116, 17, 118, 119, tsaka 120. So, ano bang gitna niyan? So, pag sinabi nating midpoint, dapat balanced, no? Dapat balanced ang iyong left and right. So, pag kinuha natin yung gitna, 116, balance ang left and right, tig-apat sila. So, ito ang midpoint. Kung kaya nyo pong kung kaya nyo pong i-visualize like this, no problem. Pero ang definition kasi ng class mark is average of LL and UL. This is just one way of solving kung mas madali sa inyo. So, kung in-identify nyo na to sa first, edi alam niyo na 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Kada fifth term, yun ang midpoint. So, bibilang na lang kayo ng 5. Di na kayo magdi-divide ng 121, 22, 23, 24, 25. O, anong kasunod? Next midpoint. What is the next class mark? So, 125. So, ganun lang. Pero kung nahihirapan kayo sa ganitong pag-visualize or pag-imagine, edi gawin niyo po itong average, no? So, kayo bahala. Next one, 130 to 138. So, the answer would be 134. Next po. Pagka nabibilisan kayo, i-pause nyo muna. Tapos, pag may answer na kayo, sa kanyo i-play, ha? So, that would be 143. Next po. 148 and 156. The class mark or the midpoint is 152. Class mark is denoted by X. Next, 157 to 165. The class mark or the midpoint would be 161. And our last class, 166 to 174, that would be 170. So, ganun lang po pag tayo ay nagko-compute ng class mark. Next one. Ito madali lang din to, class boundaries. So we have two boundaries here. Syempre, boundaries, no? So bakit natin kinukuha ang class boundaries? To make sure na walang magiging gap sa ating graph, no? Or sa mga data natin. So we have lower class boundary and upper class boundary. So ano yung lower class boundary? Syempre dito siya sinusulat sa left. So dito yung LCB. Yan, dito yung LCB at dito yung upper class boundary. Ang class boundaries po, ang reference point nyo ay itong mga class intervals. So, laging tatandaan ninyo, parehas 0.5 yan. Ayan, parehas 0.5. Ang lower class boundary, anong reference point niya? Itong si lower limit. Left to left, and then right, upper class boundary, syempre ang reference point niya ay si upper limit. So left to left, right to right. Di ba po sa number line, pagka po left, papuntang left, negative. So pag lower, itong left, minus kayo. Pagka naman dito sa right, add kayo. Parehas 0.5, no? Babawasan nyo lang ng 0.5 lagi yan. So, tignan nga natin. Let's have the first lower class boundary of the first class. So, 112 minus 0.5, what would be the answer? 111.5. Anong upper class boundary niya? 120.5. Dadagdagan mo lang ng 0.5. Pag sa left ka, babawas ng 0.5. Pag sa right, dadagdag ng 0.5. Next po. 121 minus 0.5. 120.5. Next. 129. 129.5. Next one. 130 minus 0.5. 129.5. Tapos 138 plus 0.5, 138.5. 139 plus 0.5, 138.5. 147 plus 0.5, 147.5. Kayo naman. 147.5. Next. Next. Last class. Okay, very good. So that's how you get the class boundaries. So next. Ito, last na to. Kailangan nating mag-construct ng frequency distribution table kasi gagamitin natin to when we analyze the data. So, dapat i-master nyo yan ha. Si statistics kasi, dugtong-dugtong yung concepts niyan. Okay. So, cumulative frequency. Ano ba pag sinabi natin cumulative? Pinagsasama natin, no? Alin ang pinagsasama? Ay, di yung frequency. Kasi cumulative frequency nga. So, meron din tayong dalawa niyan. Si less than at saka si greater than. So, dapat alam niyo ang itsura ni less than, no? So, pagka kayo ay, kapag ka tinaas niyo ang kamay ninyo at if-norm ninyo ng less than, edi left. Pagka left, yun yung less than. Pagka naman right, ang tinaas ninyo, yung hintuturo ninyo, tsaka yung kinopya nyo yung itsura nito. Pagka right, edi greater than. Less than left. Okay? So, yun yung itsura niya. So, in less than cumulative frequency, hindi mo hahanapin yung pinakamababang frequency, ha? Ang hahanapin mo, the lowest class. The frequency of the lowest class. Okay po? So, we add frequency starting from the lowest class. Hindi pinakamababang frequency, ha? Frequency ng lowest class. Paulit-ulit, baka malimot pa. So, ano yung lowest class natin? Eh di, yung class na may pinakamababang value, which is 112. So, ano po yung frequency ni 112 to 120? This class has a frequency of 3. So, yun yung una mong isusulat. And then, anong frequency ang next natin i-add? Siyempre, hindi na yung 3, nagamit na natin eh, no? Yung kasunod niya na hindi pa natin nagagamit, which is 7. 3 plus 7, 10. And then, next naman na frequency, 10 plus 10 equals 20. And then, anong next na frequency? 20. Saan mo i-add? Dito sa next na frequency na hindi pa nagagamit. 11. 20 plus 11, 31. And the next frequency, 31 plus 11, 42. And the next frequency, 42 plus 5, 47. And the next frequency, 47 plus 3, 50. Dapat po, ang inyong last na result ay katulad ng inyong N or total frequency. Ngayon, madali yan kasi kasama nyo ko, tsaka nilalagyan ko ng guide, no? Pero pag kayo na lang, nakakaduling yan. Minsan, na-add na sa 7, i-add ulit sa 7. So, you have to be very, very careful. So that is less than cumulative frequency. Less than, start kayo sa frequency ng lowest class. Pagka naman po greater than cumulative frequency, so what are we going to do? So start tayo hindi na sa lowest class, kundi sa frequency ng highest class. Frequency ng highest class. Nagkataon lang na 3 parehas yan. So doon kayo sa baba magsisimula. So sulat nyo dyan yung 3. And then, anong next natin gagawin? You're going to add that 3 doon sa next frequency na meron ka. Siyempre, wala naman sa baba, no? So, sa taas ka, pataas ka ngayon. So, 3 plus, saan mo i-add? Sa 5. 3 plus 5, it is 8. Next, 8 plus 11, it is 19. 19 plus, ano yung next frequency? 11. 30. 30 plus, ano yung next frequency? 10. So, 40. 40 plus 7, 47. 47 plus 3, it is 50. So, ganun din. Magtatapos din dapat kayo sa n, which is 50. So, ganun lang, no? Madali yung bawat process, madami lang, kaya mukhang mahirap. So, cumulative frequency. So, si less than cumulative frequency, it shows the total number of data points less than or equal to the upper boundary of the class. Ito. And then, the greater than cumulative frequency naman, this just shows the total number of data points greater than or equal to the lower boundary of a class. So, yun lang. So, this is what we need para po tayo ay makapag-analyze ng data later on. So, yun lang. That's it for our topic for today. I hope you learned something. Kung medyo mabilis ako magsalita ngayon, i-replay nyo na lang. No? And if you have questions, don't hesitate to send me a message. Thank you so much and stay safe. Goodbye, everyone.